Good evening and welcome. It's Friday, it's 8 o'clock, and that means it's time for Buster's Virtual Jazz Club. We're streaming live on YouTube to infinity and beyond. Welcome everybody. I hope you had a great week, and thank you to all my regular Patreon subscribers and everyone who makes a donation via PayPal and Visa. If you want to make a one-off Visa payment, you can do that now as well. Thanks for all the lovely messages you send as well. I do appreciate it. It's very easy to make a donation. Please just visit the website link below, and on that page you can also watch all of the past shows. We're on to show 43 now, and you can also see who my upcoming guests will be. And please do also click on the subscribe button on the YouTube page and give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the show, as that will really help me out with the YouTube channel. So on to tonight's show. My guest this evening is a very fine pianist, organist and vocalist and multi-instrumentalist, known principally for his work on jazz piano and Hammond organ, having first started on the double bass and electric bass at the age of 14 and acoustic electric guitars at the age of 18. Born in Ghana, he arrived in the UK in 1971 and soon found himself working with the best musicians in London. Since then, he's been winning friends all over England, Europe and America and beyond with his virtuosic playing and upbeat music. Since his first release on record in 1979, he's recorded 4 CDs and 4 vinyl albums with record companies such as SB Records, Pleasure Records, M Records and Prestige Records. His big band, quintet, quartet and trio have played at many prestigious London venues, including Ronnie Scott's, the Pizza Express Dean Street, the 100 Club Oxford Street, the Jazz Cafe Camden Down, the Royal Festival Hall and Queen Elizabeth Hall, as well as touring all over the UK and playing at many festivals, including a performance with South African jazz superstar Hugh Masekela at the Cheltenham Jazz Festival. Touring much of Europe, he has appeared at jazz festivals and top venues like the Fabric, Uncle Crow and Dennis Swing Club in Hamburg, the Quarter Latin, Joe's Beer Salon and the Talk of the Town in Berlin, as well as many other prestigious venues in Italy, France and Holland. As a sideman, he's worked with top artists around the world, including Denise Williams, Irene Reid from the Count Basie Orchestra, Percy Sledge, guitar legend Al Casey, Bobby Watson, Michael Hashim and the late George Williams, with whom he had a commercial hit, Never Again. Ed's admirers have included the late Jimmy Smith, who inspired him to take up the Hammond organ, and Sir Paul McCartney, Joe Sample and Tony Bennett. And I'm pleased to say he's here with us now, live on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very wonderful Mr. Ed Bennett. Hello mate, how are you? Ed Bentley. I totally screwed that up.
I was going to
Bentley.
I was going to run away then.
I'm sorry, mate. I was going so well, wasn't it? I'm so sorry. Well, it's been a little while since I've seen you, so
it's been quite a while since we did the album, the Born in Africa album.
Yeah, it's going back a bit now, isn't it? It's lovely to see you, mate, and to catch up and have a chance to sit down and thank you for coming on the show this evening and for sharing your lovely music, which I'm really excited about playing for people. You've done so much. You've had an amazing career, and you've done so many things. And you're a real kind of force of nature and energy. You're always kind of working on new projects all the time. It's really inspiring. So
that's all we have to keep doing.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I usually start by saying, it's been a funny year or so, isn't it? But I know you're somebody that doesn't like to be idle. So I'm sure you've got some interesting projects you've been working on over this last year or so of lockdown. But was there anything that kind of got wiped out or lost just before? I know you had a very interesting project just prior to that as well. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there were a few things. I was working on a new album. And then also I'm doing the score for a movie called The Black Movie.
Great.
It's hopefully, if there's no more lockdowns, will be released early next year, and which is based on 1987 when Thatcher was in charge here. And the whole story is about 2 guys blagging their way to success. And I'm doing the score, and the incidental music and that sort of thing. And I've already done the theme music for it, but I'm just waiting to get other things sorted.
So,
And then
so you're composing the music, and are you producing it as well and recording it? Fantastic.
That's right. Yes.
So that'll be out next year, hopefully. Or is it still in kind of productions? Are these things, movies have
the
a very
trailer,
long time scale, don't they?
No, it takes ages, and we have meetings upon meetings. The trailers, the trailer's been done, basically, so that's fine. And so now we're just waiting, with the videographers of cinema or whatever they are, and they're going to get it all together. But hopefully before Easter sometime, it should be out. And I think it'll be great. It's a great story.
Fantastic.
And the actors are this is produced by Dave Anderson and directed by Dave Anderson, who's done the Harry Potter things and all that sort of thing. He's been involved in that.
Oh, well, I wish you lots of luck with that. You deserve it. That'll be great. I hope that's a great success for you. And you've also been remixing some tracks, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Well, everybody, I had a hit sometime in 80, I think 5 or 6, which was Mr. Turbulence.
Yeah.
Which just happened accidentally. I was in the Matrix Studios in Holborn, and we're recording a track which was different from that. And then I happened to see this keyboard called the Roland VCO something. Right. And I said to the guy, so what kind of keyboard is this? He said, well, say something in the mic and play it. And they all went, no. And I said, wow, I love this. Can I use it for something? And there came Mr. Turbulence. And we recorded Mr. Turbulence. And everybody said, it was a dance hit in the charts for some time in those days. And they said, Ed, bring it out again, bring it out again. So we said, we'll use this lockdown thing through the internet to record it. Right. So everybody just played and contributed. And they send their video clips as well as the music, and we put it all together, and it was quite nice.
And so you re-recorded the whole thing, or did you use some of the original
tracks? Yeah, we re-recorded the whole thing.
The whole thing from scratch. Wow,
the only
fantastic.
part we added was the old Del Ballo parts. Right. With him playing the intro flute parts, because I couldn't find Dale. Apparently he was sitting somewhere in Thailand.
Oh, I see. You couldn't track him down. So you just used the old tracks.
Yeah. After we recorded, then he says, Ed, I'm ready to record. I said, it's already done.
It.
The old one,
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're going to play that at the end. We're going to play out on that track. So look forward to that, because it's great. It's got that fantastic... Is it so that's built in something to do with the key? I don't know much about these things. What is that? That's not a vocoder then, is it?
Yes, that's a vocoder.
That is a vocoder, right? I thought so, yeah. So yeah, and it's tied into the keyboard, and famously Herbie Hancock used it as well.
Oh yeah, he was the first to inspire me on that. Yes, he used it for some hit years ago, and it was great.
Yeah,
but it's kind of strange because you speak and then you just play the melody.
Yeah, and Stevie Wonder used it as well.
I happen to keep singing the melody as well, so it's weird.
Fantastic, yeah. Well, it sounds great. So we'll play that. We're going to play out on that track. And you've got this film score coming up, and you're always putting out tracks. But you've also been gigging again. Prior to the lockdown, you had a few gigs with the quartet and we've got some footage of a fairly recent gig, May 2018, at the B3 Lounge Jazz Club. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that venue, and how's that? Is that home of Hammond, or what's the connection there?
See the logo behind me here.
This is something is this another one of the is this a venue you set up?
Well, what happened was, generally what I've always done is I've gone around the West End sometimes, and I see venues that look good. And if they're not doing very well in the evening, I speak to the manager and say, well, okay, if you're having great lunches, how about evenings? We can build up the evening. So we can bring music in, and we can, set up everything and get it going. And you'll make something like it happened for Dover Street.
Dover Street Wine Bar, you famously did. And then was it Palookaville as well? You were quite involved. Right. Yeah, you've done this many times, haven't you?
And Ormond's Jazz Bar.
Right.
The first jazz cafe in King's Cross. We started the first jazz cafe in King's Cross. Wow. And then it went into a court dispute about the name. So I just withdrew.
Of course. Yeah.
So, and various little venues. Whenever there's a place you can. So this idea of the B3 Lounge came because I realized we don't have any clubs here that actually sponsor organists.
No.
Where there'll be an organ for people to just come in. Don't bring your organ, just come sit down and play. There'll be Leslie's and everything set up.
Well, they're not easy things to carry about, are they? I mean, let's be honest. That's probably why they're not so popular.
let's not talk about my back.
So for those who are in the audience who might be listening, they may not have realised when we talk about an organ, what you play is the proper Hammond B3 organ, which is this great big beast of a thing. And what people don't quite realise as well is the blooming speaker that comes with it is just as big. But that's what gives it the sound, doesn't it? The famous Leslie speaker. That's part of the sound of the instrument.
Without the Leslie speaker, you can't actually enjoy the sound. It's part and parcel of the package. Yes.
Yeah. And am I right? There's something about the way it spins and it's completely random or something, so it never
got a top horn and a bottom drum, which is for the bass section, and then the top is for the top section, picking up the top frequencies. Yes, that's right.
And they sample these things, but they never. I've still even now with the most amazing digital high tech sampling stuff. They still can't quite get it, can they? It's just one of those things.
Well,
it's just.
I have said that, and people want to argue with me about that.
No,
whatever they do, it won't sound the same or feel the same. You know, it's the feeling. You know, the whole thing. It's a package. You know.
Yeah.
And years ago, I used to use 2 122 Leslies with a B3, and every time I had
two Leslie speakers.
Right. In my absolute mad day.
Oh my goodness, that's dedication for you.
And my neighbors would always say, "Oh, Ed, you're moving." And then I say, "Yes, yes."
5 nights a week, yeah.
and then I, in the morning, they see me again. Say, "Well, wasn't that house good enough?"
Fantastic. Well, look, let's play a little bit of this track, and we're going to play this video now. So this is a video recording of you playing with your quartet live fairly recently, 2018, at the B3 Lounge at the club that you set up, and some very fine musicians with you, as you always have. We've got Shanti Paul Jayashinya on flugelhorn on this track, Mark Rideout on guitar, and Rod Brown on drums. Lovely Rod Brown.
Mark Rideout.
Yes. Rideout, yeah, I always get that wrong. Fantastic man. And again, for those that are not familiar with this, there's no bass player because you do that as well, right? You play the pedals with your feet, proper organ playing, which not many people do. Even people that play the organ.
The real players have to use their left foot. You don't use your left hand. We've got so many organists with their left hand. They're not organists.
Oh, we'll get letters, yeah.
No, they're not organists, you know.
So check out it's, and I've had the pleasure of seeing your left foot dancing around. It's quite amazing to see that. Okay, let's watch a bit of this and we'll come back in. This is C Jam Blues.
Thank you.
Yes, swinging there, absolutely swinging like the Clappers. Wonderful, lovely, Ed. Thanks for sharing that. That was my guest, Ed Bentley, on the Hammond organ there, with proper footwork on the pedals as well as we were saying. And
actually the Key B, Mac 3 organ.
The Key B Mark III. So I was just going to say, you had the Leslie speaker there, which I looked at. I noticed, but that's like, it looked quite new, because I know like that's the more portable version, is it now?
330. That's right, more powerful. It's got, fantastic. But it's a digital sound. It's no valve sound, so it's okay. We get by with these kind of new inventions.
So I imagine you've got quite a collection of these things, and there's a big garage somewhere full of.
My whole garage is full of all these things.
Have you still got that one? Which when I played with you, it was the big wooden kind of speaker. That's the proper old Leslie, isn't it?
Those were the 122s. That's right. I still got them. Yes.
You got the pair of them. Gosh, yeah, those are something else.
122s, 147, the 760. Oh Lord.
There you go, folks. Yeah, there's true dedication there. Fantastic. So, at this point of the show, Ed, I usually like to ask the guests, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about how you got started in music, and if there was like a particular moment or a record that you heard, or maybe somebody that was very influential that made you decide kind of, I want to play jazz, this is the thing for me. Or was it a kind of gradual evolution? I mean, I know the story, but perhaps for the audience, you could just explain a little bit about how you got started. And I think it's quite an interesting story as well.
Well, we've always had a piano in the house. I remember something vaguely from when I was 2 years old. I did see a piano, upright piano. It was one of the old ones with the candle holders and stuff.
Wonderful.
And I remember especially the stool. It was a round stool that you sort of unwound it to get to the height or something.
Right.
And my dad was a piano player, great piano player himself.
Right.
But it was just for fun. He did his legal work, and then he used to play a sort of Fats Waller style thing.
Right.
And he used to sing as well. He would sing things like "I Want to Be Happy" and all these kind of things, And so we heard it all the time, and especially if he had a little whiskey.
So he appreciated
a bit
music.
more avant-garde, and I used to love it, Yeah.
But was he a magistrate or a judge, or what was his?
Well, he worked his way up to the Chief Justice position.
Chief Justice, wow.
That's right. Yes.
In Ghana, very.
So I heard all these things then, and then eventually my sister Juliet Adu. Adu she's known like that name in the States. Right. She started singing with the local radio band and stuff like that. And I'd wake up in the morning and hear down the corridors her singing, "Take all of me, why not take all of me?" And all these things used to go on, and I could hear it all happening, And she'd say, "Hey, Ed, sit behind the piano and back me up." I said, "I don't play jazz." She says, "Just play anything and let me sing over it." It was ridiculous. And then eventually, we had school bands, college bands. And we had one particular band, which was called the Road Runners. I was playing bass then.
Right.
And unfortunately, I started playing left-handed because when I held my first guitar, nobody said I was holding it the wrong way.
We've got some pictures of a very young Ed with the guitar in his hand, and I did clock it was left-handed. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So that was just that you just instinctively picked it up.
And nobody said, "Hey, Ed, you're holding it the wrong way." So I just kept it that way, and I started playing bass left-handed. And
hang on a minute. Does that mean were the strings the upside down then as well?
No, they're normal way.
Oh, I see.
Normal structure. So I'm playing it upside down. So
that's what I mean. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we played in these school bands and stuff, and then eventually, one birthday, my sister presented me with the Jimmy Smith album, which was called "Crazy Baby." Right. And this is the same thing that Joey DeFrancesco said. It was that album that it really inspired him to get into a lot of jazz playing, because on there you got "A Night in Tunisia," "Johnny Comes Marching Home," and "The Champ," which is an amazing thing. Jimmy Smith, he's never done anything like that again. The speed,
fast,
swing, and the playing. you know, and I heard it and I thought this instrument here it sort of appeals to me, you know. So I just clicked onto this Hammond thing. And then I
Right.
started searching for Hammonds. And
Right.
then I heard some neighbors further up had got an L102, and I used to go there and play it. And
Right.
then a great band leader called King Bruce. He wanted an organist in one of his bands. So he ordered a Hohner
Right.
organ, double manual. But it had the third harmonics and stuff, which sounded like Hammond. So I joined the band just to be able to play this organ.
Wow.
And then this is what started all this thing, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually I had to leave to come to study. I came over here to study law, just to please my parents, of course. It wasn't
Yeah.
that I wanted to do it.
Can you
And
tell
then
me, because you're the youngest, you were the youngest
oh,
of,
yeah,
is it
yes, that's right, yeah.
six
That was,
siblings?
you know,
And
as we were six in the family. We had a doctor, an engineer, this and that. And of course, my sister was a singer, which was nice, a different thing. And then everybody said, hey, somebody has to do law, you know, because everybody was pointing at me, you know. And they took me everywhere with solicitors and lawyers. And they said, hey, Ed, yes, when you qualify and get back, this is your office, and this is this, and this is that, you know,
Right.
try to really
Yeah.
get me going with it, you know. And my
Pressure.
mom kept saying, all your dad's books will be wasted and everything else. You know?
Oh dear.
And I used to go put the wig and gowns on to look at myself in the mirror. And I said, my God, my friends will laugh at me. I said,
oh dear.
and then eventually I left Nottingham and quit on the course. I did about three years in law. And then I came to London. But
Yeah.
before then, I started a band in Nottingham. They were called Roots. And, you know, I tried to turn them on to Crusaders stuff, like keep that same old feeling and all those kind of things. And the people there were more into reggae at the time. We'd be playing and they'd be shouting, forward some reggae, man, you know. And I said, what's wrong with them? We're playing all this complicated music and changes. They just want to hear 3-chord vamp or something, you know.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't very inspiring. And to be quite honest, when you live in the countryside, you don't really get your playing, you know, on like you do in the city. There's a lot of pressure and competition in the city.
Yeah.
When you're in some of the places like Nottingham and stuff, you might be the king there because you're the best player in town and there's nobody else. So you get complacent and then you just don't bother to rehearse anymore.
Right.
You know, and it's no good. So coming back to London was a good thing.
Yeah.
And I felt the competition, the vibe, and everything.
There's just something I was going to touch on, if you don't mind, because I think it's really lovely that the audience might know. But we were chatting about earlier, and so the point at which you stopped studying law was because your father passed away. Is that right? And then
that's correct.
Yes. And you
yes.
said that you told me earlier about what you phoned your mum to ask if you could do music, and she gave you her blessing, and you felt like that you didn't want to do the law because your dad wasn't there to see you graduate.
I formed the band the next day.
The next day. Oh, yeah. So that was your true calling, wasn't it? Music. You always felt that.
You know, I love. Of course, sometimes after gigs, carrying Hammonds and stuff, I kind of regret. I start thinking, if I'd gone on with the law, I'd be asleep now in bed.
Yeah. Or you could afford to pay someone to carry it for you.
In the morning with a nice cup of coffee, going into my chambers or my office. Yeah. And what am I doing here at 4 a.m. with Leslie cabinets and breaking my back and stuff like that? You know, it's.
Well, you've done some amazing stuff.
It was good. I managed to. I saw an advert in Melody Maker. They wanted a keyboard player, so I applied for it. And the drummer there, David Newton-Roman, was the leader of that band, and we got together, and we kept rehearsing, but there were no gigs. So I went and got a gig, and so they came with me as leader to my gig, and that's where it started.
That's where you started band leading.
That's right. We started playing. Yeah. We did upstairs Ronnie's. We did various different things in London at the time. That's right. That was the JFB +1, we called it at the time.
And what year was this roughly? What era was this? Are we talking now? Sort of 70s?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
about 77, 78. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
And then I recorded my first vinyl, which was this one here.
Wow.
Which
Look at that.
79. Yeah, it's my first record.
Is this the one they keep sampling now and wanting to all the jazz funk guys?
Bentley's Boogie.
Bentley's Boogie. Is that on that album? That's from that album.
Well, it's a disco. It's a 12-inch 45, if you remember, disco thing, and it's got a few titles here featuring people like Candy McKenzie on vocals. She was my kind of Shaka Khan at the time.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of players on this. Dave Freeze, George Lee.
Oh yeah.
It was coming from Nottingham, and I went to the first studio I could find, which was the most expensive studio. I didn't even know there were cheaper studios. And I went to St. John's Wood Studios.
Wow. Gosh, yeah. Yeah. Straight in at the top.
It was then about £80 an hour. Would you believe that?
Yeah.
This is 70 something.
But it sounds great. Those tracks sound great.
We recorded it and people just loved it, but
yeah.
I've never really liked it because the whole thing was cluttered with so many keyboards. I was using clavinets, organ, Solina string, ARP Odyssey Pro, this, that.
And was that because that was all in the studio and you saw these?
Well, it was a trend at the time. If you
I see. Right.
Dance music had all these instruments,
Yes.
You could always hear the clavinet, the string.
Yes.
It was all happening. Yeah. So
was that a touch of Stevie Wonder influence? Do you think maybe?
Well, Stevie has always influenced everybody.
Yeah, because Key of the Life. When's the songs in the Key of Life? That was kind of early 70s, isn't it? I think so. That's and everything came after it.
And once you talk about the clavinet, then it's what Stevie always uses.
Yeah. So people will recognise that sound. Yeah. So Bentley Boogie is the one that's you're now having. It's being revived, and there's a lot of jazz funk people playing it. And
I recently had Giles Peterson on a radio show, asking that I send him a vinyl of it. He was on a show, my son's show. He's called Edward Adu, and he works for the BBC. He's a presenter and broadcaster, and he does TV and all stuff.
Yeah.
And he had Giles as a guest. And at the very end of the show, when he was about to say thank you, Giles, he says, "By the way, ask your dad."
I bet that was a great moment. Yeah.
He said, "Ask your dad to send me a copy of Bentley Boogie, and I don't want any MP3s or WAV files. I want the actual vinyl."
He wants the vinyl. Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
And I sent it to him, and then he played it straight away on his radio show. I think it's called the FM something on.
Fantastic. Well, just while we're there, I was going to say hello to a few people in the chat box. Steve Clark's in the house. Peter Gore is here. Ian's in the house. And my good friend Tony Mills as well, who does a global funk radio station on the internet. And I'm sure he's very aware of that track as well. So that I'm sure he knows that one. Yeah, because he's very much into his jazz funk. So there you go, Tone. How about that? So I think we should play some more music. We've got somebody now. You've worked with so many great artists and had it's this amazing sort of bands that you've run and people you've worked with. But somebody who's a real talent is Clifford Jarvis on the drums, American drummer that lived in London and was a very highly respected musician on the scene. Particularly at that time, and you've recorded with him, and you worked with him a lot, didn't you? And I mean, he worked with all the American
everybody you can think of in the States.
Yeah,
any top jazz players work with. But I didn't know at the time that he was a well-known person. I was looking for a drummer, and somebody said, "Oh, there's a chap somewhere near Battersea or somewhere called Clifford Jarvis."
Yeah.
So I gave him a ring, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'll come and play with you," just like that. And I didn't know anything about him. And we did a gig. And I kept turning around to look at him because I thought there's something wrong here. What I meant was wrong, but he was playing so well. That
he's amazing. Yeah.
I don't think I was complimenting his drums, And afterwards, people said to him, "This is Clifford. He played with Coltrane. He played with everybody, you know."
Yeah.
And I said, "Wow, that's why." Because when you got Clifford behind you, he pushes you. He really gets you going.
A lot of energy, isn't there?
I played like about, say, 2 or 3 or 4 choruses, and I want to hand it over to a tenor or something, and he hits his cymbal and look at me and say, "Go,
keep going." Fantastic, yeah.
And so he really vibed me up, you know. I really got into a different style. He lifted my playing.
Wow, yeah.
Beyond any doubt, he did lift my playing while I worked with him, because his playing, his swing, his
it's incredibly intense, isn't it? His playing, yeah. And so we've got this recording that you've made, which is a live recording from one of your gigs, and you've made this little video kind of tribute to Clifford Jarvis.
Yes, that's right.
But the music is from a live recording at Dingwalls from 1996. Is that right?
That's Dingwalls. Yes, it used to be a very popular venue.
Yeah, I know. I remember going.
We played there as well with this.
That's right. Yeah, in Camden, wasn't it? And
that's right.
And we've got now. These are 2 other musicians that you've worked with a lot since then as well. Dave Lewis, a very fine saxophone player.
Wow. Yes. Dave, I've been working with Dave since 1987.
Yeah, and he's got a great sort of jazz funk group. Is it One Up that he runs now, his own band? So if people want to check him out there, and of course the legendary Jim Mullen on guitar on this, and so this is the quartet. It's yourself on organ, Clifford Jarvis on the drums, Jim Mullen and Dave Lewis. Let's listen to a little bit of that, and then we'll come back and talk about that. And this is a Sonny Rollins tune, Sunny Moon for 2. Wow. Absolutely amazing. Crikey.
Yeah.
I bet, does that bring back some good memories? I bet hearing that again.
Oh, yes. That was a totally packed house and the crowd were loving it. And it always helps. It encourages the musicians to go for blood, you might say.
Yeah. Yeah. And he really was something, wasn't he? I mean, it's great to
We
hear
had a
him playing
great
so
evening.
well.
Everybody was just blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, the band are really hot there. So was that, as you've been playing together a lot at that point? I mean, it certainly sounds like it.
Yeah, me and Clifford, we worked a lot with John Toussaint for quite a few tours. With Clifford, the quartet was with John Toussaint, myself, Clifford, and different guitarists from time to time. We did tours like all over Britain.
Great, fantastic. And there's something that comes up a lot on this show about that thing about when you play jazz, that when you're in the moment, you're on the stage, and because there's something about creating the music as opposed to playing a fixed part. That when you're working with musicians that you've worked with a lot over a long period of time, there's something that really elevates that connection that you get there. Because I know, so Dave, you still play with Dave. I mean, he's a very fun player, and of course Jim Mullen as well. And so that's some very long-standing musical partnerships you got there, as well as with other musicians as well, which we'll hear some of in a minute. And I wonder if do you think about that much? Do you feel that that's something? Is there something? Do you feel differently when you're playing with musicians that you know and you've worked with a long time?
Well, the thing is, when you have a gig that you're going to work with people you've been working with all the time, most of the time, you don't have a worry at all.
Yeah.
Because you don't even bother about sound checks because you know what's coming. So you get there and you're going to lay it on. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's when you're working with new guys that you have a worry.
Yeah.
When you get on stage, you're a bit nervous because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And sometimes they surprise you and then they come up with great, The thing is, in England, unfortunately, I don't know whether it's the same all over the world, people seem to associate jazz with how many notes per second that the person plays means that they are great players.
Right.
Regardless of the respect of the groove, the feel, the tempo. They expect the band to hold the tempo for them, to lay down all these notes that they want to lay on to show what they've been rehearsing all week or something.
Yeah.
And that is so bad because we all have to interplay with each other and feel the groove going on. And every solo should respond to the groove and the tempo we play. Absolutely. No use throwing all these scales, pentatonic scales, mixed Zionic scales, or whatever you want to put on, or be the latest Joe Zawinul. It doesn't help, And sometimes you go work with guys like that who are being selfish, who want to just come and portray themselves to the audience, regardless of the rest of the musicians. And I think people should always group in a way that we're all working together, like the new English football team.
Oh, don't get me on football. I'm on thin ice. Absolutely, I have. There's very few things I have less interest in than football. I know very little about it.
That they're actually working together as a team and feeling each other.
Well, I'm assuming they must be doing all right. So,
it's not like everybody coming on as an individual star.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. And I think sometimes, sometimes it's maturity, isn't it? And sometimes it's a confidence thing. People feel like they've got to try and impress you. But there's something about the real greats, when you get the real greats, like someone like Jim, I mean, he doesn't have to show off, does he? He can just play something so simple and make it so beautiful. I mean, he's got all that under the hood. He can play anything and he can play as fast as anyone, but he doesn't do it all the time, does he?
It doesn't need to prove anything.
Doesn't need to prove anything. That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
But see, the thing is, the other musicians, they tend to lean on you.
Right.
They lean on you to do what they want to do. They want to keep you like the rhythm box or the...
Do you think it's like a rhythm section thing?
You become the metronome for them to have fun. And that is terrible. But when you have experienced players anywhere, like I just see a venue, there's a piano here, That's we say, hey, let's blow, and that's it. It's happening.
Well, I've always thought that's the greatest thing about jazz is the fact that you can be anywhere in the world and you can go in and sit down and you can call C jam blues like you did at the beginning, and with no rehearsal, no music, never meet, you don't even know the guys' names, and you can have that quite sort of strong connection with people, can't you? I mean, or not, or it could be terrible, but if it's good and it sounds good, it transcends all language and everything, doesn't it?
The main point I'm trying to put here is that it doesn't matter if you have to play standards, old jazz standards. Even if you start a new tune, like a lot of my gigs, I just start a jam, and I just say to you, hey, it's in D minor, and we hear each other, and we go into new changes we've never played, and we create, but I wouldn't remember it tomorrow. It's like the jam just happens and it cooks in the crowd. When we used to do the 100 Club, that was a great place to play because people were dancing.
Right, yeah.
That's the difference. When you play to people who are dancing, the vibe is absolutely superb because it inspires you to play. Whereas if people sitting down staring.
You need some energy back, don't you, from the audience to really reach high.
I used to get a crowd come around just looking at my feet. They don't want to look at my face.
Well, now, this is interesting you say that because I think personally, I love the Hammond. I've always loved it. Love Jimmy Smith and all the great things. But I think the Hammond lends itself very well to like really swinging music, like the classic swinging kind of like Hammond sort of trio, whatever, quartet. But it also works great on the funk, doesn't it? The jazz funk. So things like Lonnie Liston Smith and all those kind of like groove. You can just lay down that groove and it can work really well with a backbeat as well. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. Does the piano do that? I don't know. It doesn't. It's just got that meat to it, hasn't it? That the piano hasn't got. I don't know.
It's the harmonic sound, the second harmonics, the third harmonics it's got in the percussion sound that it produces. It gives a percussive feel to its playing. So as you listen to it, it's kind of playing drums within itself, giving sort of tempo. So people relate to the tempo and everything. I'm recording a new track, which I'm hoping to have released very soon. It's a great dance track. It's the rhythm is taken from a Ghanaian rhythm called Kolomashi.
Right.
Kolomashi rhythm. And this is a great tempo, and the whole feel with the Hammond brings out that thing. And I think it's going to be absolutely fabulous. I'm doing two sides. I'm doing an instrumental and I'm doing a vocal side of it. Which
you're singing on it as well.
A great singer. I've got a great singer called Faye Jones, who's actually featuring on that track. And then I've got a great rapper. For the first time, I'm actually having a rapper on my track.
Rappers, wow, fantastic! I look forward to that.
And he's going to be doing the rap on there, and he's also a very talented rapper.
Great.
And so the first time I got the A side, the singer, and the rapper, and the B side is Hammond, and I got Chris Copson doing.
Oh
guitar.
yeah, he's great guitarist.
Yeah, which is really beautiful. Yeah, so it's going to turn out really good. Yes.
And I think also with the Hammond, you've got all those different sounds you can get as well. It can sound very, like you were saying, percussive, like a very attack, but it also can be very soft. And so I think when you're getting in these groove things, with the funk, when you keep that, because you want the momentum of the groove going, don't you? But you're not stuck with one sound. I think that's what it is. Because in a funk, there's not a lot of harmony, is there? So it's like when you're playing a vamp, you've got all those textures and colours that you can bring in, which like makes it always, it never gets dull, does it? It never gets too repetitive.
That when a real organist is playing a Hammond, he's using the bass pedals for bass, he's using his left hand for the chord work, and he's using his right hand for melody and feels.
Yeah.
Also percussive feels.
The bass wheel, all that sort of stuff, yeah.
So like you've got a bass going and he's got a left hand going like bum, bum, bum,
yeah.
Bum, bum. And he's got his right hand going
like counterpoint with the left hand. Yeah.
And then, but then when you get an organist just using left hand, what they're doing is they're playing the chord here like boom, brap, boom, brap, boom.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So it's a lot more coordination going on there.
They're not able to sustain the constant groove. The groove comes in and disappears, and then they go and play a melody, and then they bring the groove back. So it's like taking the needle off the record.
You got to keep the groove. You got to keep the groove going. Yeah. Well, that leads us on nicely to this next track, which is very funky indeed. Kelly Welly, we're going to play, which is which is from an album that you made, Born in Africa. Fantastic album. When was that? I was trying to put it. Is it around about 2008? Does that sound right?
That's correct. Yes.
That's correct. And that's kind of around when we first met, and we did a few gigs, and you very kindly asked me to do some playing for you on this. And this features Jim Mullen again on the guitar. Fantastic Jim Mullen. And the other thing that you use a lot, which I love, is percussion. You generally have some percussion with you, don't you? Which I think it just adds that layer, doesn't it? And this is Francis Fuster on percussion. Fuster. Let's listen to this track, and then we'll come back and chat some more about this album, Born in Africa. Enjoying the show. I just want to take a moment to tell you about a new way that you can help support me do this, and that is through patreon.com. That's right, I've got an account now, so the link's below here, patreon.com Buster Birch, and if you go along to there, you can now make donations by Visa credit card, so you don't have to use PayPal if you don't want to do that. And the advantage of Patreon is that once you do it once, it will automatically deduct on a per show basis. So instead of having to fill in the forms every week, if you want to make a regular donation, then that will just automatically deduct straight to your credit card each per show. And that is hugely helpful to me because it means I know that I've got a certain amount coming in every time I do a show, and that really helps me plan ahead and keeps the viable sustainability of the show going. There's two levels of sponsorship. There's my silver and gold membership. All of my Patreon supporters will get a big thank you personally from me live on the show, and the gold member sponsors will get an additional Spotify playlist which will be sent to you each week. It's something that I'm putting together. It's personally curated by me and will feature lots more albums by the guest artists each week. So it's a great opportunity to get to know this music much better. If you're really enjoying the show and you like the little tasters that you're hearing, that's a great way to get to know this music even more and enjoy in full comfort the full sound of the full albums. Thanks very much. Back to the show. Yes, that's right. We're live on YouTube, and I'm here with Ed Bentley, the organ maestro, and that was a track called Kelly Welly from the 2008 album Born in Africa, featuring Jim Mullen on the guitar, Francis Fuster on percussion, and some drummer called Buster Birch. I don't know where you found him from. Yeah. And yeah, it was great. It was great. I really enjoyed, and we did a bunch of gigs, didn't we, as well? There was a lot of fun, and yeah, so it's really nice to catch up and see you again. We've got a few people in the chat box. Brian Ways just checked in. Hi, Brian. Good to see you, mate. Welcome. Hope you enjoy the music. Yeah, so that's what we were talking about, the groove of just keeping the thing going. That's really interesting what you were saying about that left hand part. How important that is, you know, and then getting those lovely different changes of sound and color on the top. It really lifts the music every time on those funk things where things are going along. I think you just add another little thing, just as you got to have the momentum, haven't you, for funk to get people dancing and that. Great. So we've got another bit of footage now coming up from another live gig, and this is from the 606. It's a fairly recent concert, and this features your sextet with a fantastic lineup again. Claude Depper on trumpet, who's again somebody you've worked with for a long time, I know. I think we did a gig together with Claude in a club somewhere. Tony Kofi on saxophone, very fine saxophone player. Rod Young's wonderful drummer. Isn't he great? I love his playing. He's got that touch, hasn't he? He can really swing, and he can just play a nice funk, and he can just play it simple, or he can really get busy on it as well. He's got a real everything there, isn't he? And this is Chris Cobson on guitar as well, who we're going to hear some more of as well. And Philip Ambrose, you got a bass player on this. So is this because the keyboard didn't have the pedal, or what was up with this, or is just different kind of?
Was definitely you needed a bass guitar to do that, because the lines you had to play were not suitable for that sort of organ. You see, the organ can handle certain grooves, certain songs. You can't use it to play everything, no, because these had very intricate type bass lines. You needed a real player to play.
So, and this is your music again, is it? So I know. So we should probably talk a little bit also about the fact that you've got these record labels, you've got this. I mean, if anyone wants to, if you want to check out more about Ed's music and what he's up to, the website's below. But also, you've got the record label, because you've got many albums out and you've got compilation tracks and everything on there, haven't you? But if they check the link below, this is your music interface. Records.com. That's the things there, so I can get there. So this particular project with the sextet, I forgot to mention, of course, Richard Baker on percussion,
Alatunde
Baker, who we played together with. He's fantastic as well, isn't he? He plays, but it's very interesting because he plays conga drums, but they're African conga drums, which is very different to Cuban style, totally different style, which a lot of people don't realise.
That's right.
Yeah, he's wonderful. So what made you want to? What was the idea behind this project then? This sextet? Would you just want a bigger sound? You just had some new music that you wanted to kind of get out there.
What actually inspired me was I was listening to what's the name of this trumpeter? It's just
Claude.
No, the one who died. What's his name?
Hugh Masekela.
No. From the States. He did Paris Saint-Denis. You remember that track?
Don't think too hard and it'll come to you. That's what I find. If you try to think, you can't get it again.
Anyway, he had this thing on YouTube and stuff, and I'd never heard of it, but he's been around for so long, and I listened to it, and it inspired me to get a band that would be closer to that kind of sound to present at the 606 for that particular gig. And so we got Tony Kofi to bring his own repertoire as well, and we mixed it together.
Also, some of Tony's tunes on there as well.
The first half was basically my selections, and the second half was Tony's selections.
Oh, that's nice, yeah. And so you'd written some music, and and that's why you had the bass guitar in there as well to sort of fill the lines.
Pedals in the background, certain parts of the song or the tunes there. Yeah, that's right.
And when you're writing for a larger ensemble like that, now this is something else that's quite interesting that comes up a lot in this show. So if you're composing, when you're writing, are you thinking of who's going to play it? Or are you just thinking of the line and then, or is it a little bit of both? Like,
you have to think of who's going to be playing it first before you start writing.
Yeah. So that influences the sound of what you got in your head.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Fantastic.
Because a lot of times I've been very disappointed. I've gone to studios and other people have come to play, and I come home with a whole different sound. It's not exactly what I expected to get. It's disappointing. You have to make sure you got the right people to perform what you want them to perform. Of course, I've had arguments in studios, sometimes over 1 hour, with people who are disputing certain writings of African music, because in certain African music things, you might have a 16 bar and the next one will be 18 bars. Right. Yeah. And then you might even go back to 12 bars and go back to 16 bars and so on. And they'll be arguing with you. No, it's got to be 16. Oh. It's got to be. I said, which rule?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's got to be this,
No.
Because the way it's interpreted is different. And I mean, a lot of years ago, all you heard was 3/4. If you heard anything adventurous, it'd be 6/8. The rest 4/4, 3/4, 4/4, 3/4. A ballad, a 3/4, a waltz, jazz waltz, and stuff. Then suddenly now we have 7/8.
Yeah, a lot of time signatures being used now. Yeah,
and it makes it more adventurous. And I had the advantage. My late wife introduced me to a lot of Far Eastern and Asian, Gina Kumari. Yeah, she introduced me to a lot of Indian music, the Far East, Arabic.
Well, the Indian music's very sophisticated with the rhythms, isn't it?
All the Saragamapa, the scales and stuff. And the Indian Arabic verse,
Right.
And sort of thing. And I listened before. I used to, as soon as I heard it on the radio, I said, "Ooh, what's this?" But now slowly I got used to them, and I started using them in some of my playing, and especially the Arabic verse and stuff, and some of the progressions they use, and it's been it's really broadened my mind into. So now I accept anything from anywhere in the world. I'm ready to do it.
Fantastic. Well, that's the way. It's funny because we were just talking off air, weren't we, about how music, as a musician, you just constantly, you never get there. It's this constant thing of feeling like you're trying to figure new stuff out all the time and learn more.
I'm totally fed up with all this having to play. Every time it's Parker playing, Miles Davis. Everywhere you go, you see a band get together. You say, "Oh, let's have a jam." Okay, what do you want to play? They say, "Oh, Blue Bossa." I say, "Oh, for God's sake, give that tune."
Well, I guess there's a common language for jam sessions that makes that kind of a bit more facilitable, a bit easier to function. But I know what you mean. I think we've got this massive retro kind of like looking backwards attitude now, things. And I guess also the other thing is a lot of bands now, particularly in the jazz scene, they kind of they tend to do these tribute things to the, so and so plays the music of, and I guess that makes it a bit easier to sell, and people know what they're getting, and people kind of like what they know and know what they like, don't they? But I know what you mean, though. We have to keep writing and playing new music as well, don't we? There has to be some
concert and hear a band play their own tune, and
hear
how they interpret their tune,
and
how they solo and play, But if I go hear a band and then they say, "Oh, we're going to play A Night in Tunisia," I've heard the tune already in my mind, and it's finished before even they start. I know where they're going to go and what they're going to do. The only thing is I'll say, "Oh, is that how they're doing the middle eight? It's a bit different." Or the guys, how we came in from the break, from the solo, or this or that. But it's time that everybody creates their own and starts to open up the repertoires with fresh music and stuff. Okay, we've all paid our dues with all this straight note chaser. Now's the time. This Donna Lee ornithology. For God's sake, force, this and that. Move on. Occasionally we can still play them because we owe this to them. That they create this.
Yeah.
But we also have our own mind and brain here that we should bring out things, you see. So recently, I've been working a lot on new creations, new music.
Yeah, I guess the standard's a great common language, though, isn't it? It's kind of like the history of our music and what we're doing. And as I said, you could go to the Blue Note Tokyo and play together because we have that common language, and so it's very important for that. And in terms of for studying for students as well, it's important to sort of know and respect the music. But you're right, as an artist, I think it's important to constantly keep moving forward and keep creating new stuff, isn't it?
Go on a concert and I just say to the bass player, "Give me a bass line," saying D minor.
Right. Oh, that free. So you're just free and playing. Yeah, great.
And I'll put the chord and the saxophone will put something on it, and suddenly you're hearing things. It's wonderful.
Well, I guess also famously, Miles Davis said he didn't want to play that stuff either anymore, did he? So I guess that's kind of validates it a certain amount as well. But too
much now, you go to the Six or you go to these places and you hear the same tunes over, and the ballads, Body and Soul, I'm sure is tired.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think I have to say that, like, of course,
Laura.
When you hear a tune, what you're listening to is what they're doing with it then as well, aren't they? Somebody, to hear Jim Mallon play Body and Soul, I mean, I could listen to that all night,
That's true. I agree with that. It depends on who's playing it and how they interpret it.
Interpretation, yeah, exactly, yeah. But there's room for all of it, I think. But I think we mustn't lose the idea of creating new music as well. It's very, very important, and that's something that you've always had this sort of boundless energy, and I think that really comes through in everything that you do. And as long as I've known, you've always had this kind of incredible, kind of positive energy, and I think that's what I get from your music as well.
We've been around for a long time. And this year I make 70.
No, really? Wow.
Right.
There you go, folks.
I'm 70 years old.
See, the secret of looking young is to play jazz. Jazz is good for you, folks.
Play your own,
play your own music. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, look, let's just play this piece now because the time's marching on. So we've got this. We've got another bit of live footage. So this is, when was this gig? Do you remember? It's probably a couple of years ago.
Which one is this?
Sorry, the sextet from the 606.
That was 2018. Yeah, 2018.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, 3 years ago. I don't count last year. It's like it's been erased, doesn't it? It doesn't count. I'm just minusing it, you know, from my birthday and everything. I've just don't. It's just not there. It didn't happen.
Erase the year, you know.
So, and the track is called Seafront. And is there an album of this music?
Oh, I haven't put it into any album yet.
Right.
It's just been a jam. Some tunes come up as a jam and become a part of a repertoire.
Of the live repertoire.
Any album or anything, you know.
Right. Okay, so this is so once again it's Tony Kofi on the saxophone, Claude Depper on the trumpet, Rod Youngs on the drums, Richard Baker on the percussion, Chris Cobson and Philip Ambrose, and of course my guest Ed Bentley. And we're going to cut in on the organ solo and play out to the end of the track here, and then we'll talk some more on the back of this.
All right.
Yeah, that was my guest Ed Bentley on the organ with his sextet at the live at the 606 back in 2018. Yeah, when the track was called Seafront. Fantastic, Ed. Really grooving there. I love that. I was just saying, we were chatting off air about how Rod just sits on that snare on the backbeat. It's really, really great. And you guys are really, and lovely solo from Chris, and of course yourself there as well. Absolutely
Great, thanks.
Absolutely grooving. Well, the time has actually caught up with us, and it's been lovely chatting and catching up. And as I said, thanks for coming on and sharing your music with us.
Pleasure.
We've got another track to play, which we'll play out on, which we'll just talk about before we go. But if you have enjoyed the music, folks, and you enjoyed the show, then please do consider a donation. It's massively still appreciated in these difficult times. So the link is here. If you just hit that, you'll jump to my webpage where all the information's there. And if you do check out some more of Ed's music, because it's all absolutely class. And below in the YouTube description, you'll see the link to his website, his record label website. And there's lots of tracks there, and you can sample things and hear lots of music. And there's lots more stuff that we didn't get time to play. So do check that out. And thanks everyone in the chat box. Yeah, lots of lovely comments. Everyone's in the groove. Steve says he's in the groove. Tony's loving it. Peter Gore says, I'm 73. Well, you don't look a day over.
We got some competition going on.
He's got some competition there, yeah. Fantastic. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the music, folks. So before we play the last track, we should just say, so this is we're going to play out on Mr. Turbulence. So this is the one that we mentioned at the top of the show, which is the remake of the earlier track with the vocoder and everything in it. And so this is, have you got the original vinyl there? Look at that. Amazing.
The Turbulence.
Fantastic. Mr. Turbulence. And so you did a lockdown kind of...
remix.
Remix.
A redo. That's right.
A re-record. And this features... as you said, Dale Barlow, you didn't track down, but you used some of the original recordings of him, which is on flute, which is fantastic. And we've got PK Ambrose on the keyboards.
No, on the bass.
On the bass. Oh, there's some video of him playing the keyboards. He's on the bass.
Oh no! What I mean, yeah, he's playing the Moog bass.
The Moog bass. Oh, of course. Oh, sorry, I've made a clanger again there. So that's Philip from the 606 gig who was on the bass. Yeah, sorry, I didn't clock that. So and on this track he's playing the Moog, which for people who don't know is a keyboard. Is it an analog synth?
That's right.
An analog synth which creates like a bass sound. Yeah. So he's playing the synth bass. We've got Alan Harris on the drums. Kofi Ivor on percussion.
Yeah,
is that right?
Amsterdam.
From Amsterdam. So is he somebody you've worked with before a lot as well? Was that? Yeah.
Kofi hails from the Osibisa band years ago.
Fantastic.
In the late 70s. Yes, it's a great player. And
you got Chris Cobson again on guitar, who we just heard some of, and the fantastic Gareth Loughran on flute, doing a lovely flute solo as well. And so is this out now? Is this going to be something you're going to...
Out as a single on the Music Interface Records.
Right, so people can buy this if they want to. Well, good luck with everything, Ed, and it's lovely to see. And so we're going to watch out for this movie that you're making as well, film score. We've got that coming up.
That's right.
Have you got any gigs in the book? Anything coming in?
It's going to be so good. People will stop watching the film and just dance.
Oh, I hope they do. Yeah, in the cinema, like in one of those Mel Brooks films when they were running around and going crazy through the screen. Yeah. And what about the B3 Lounge? Is anything happening there? Coming up there?
I'm just waiting to see what's going on with this unlocking or lockdown and stuff till things get pretty normal. Then I can start it up again because the venue's waiting. So it would be.
And just so people know, where is that? Where can they find you? What's the B3 Lounge? But where is it hosted at? What's the is it a hotel or bar or something? Where in town is that?
Well, now it's located in the Bohemia in North Finchley.
The Bohemia in North Finchley. So if they look on there, they can check the listings there and see when you're back.
We haven't moved the program yet, so they might not see much. Yes, I'm waiting to get things pretty. All this take masks off, put them back on, this, that. We don't know exactly what's going on.
It's chaos still, isn't it? It's very hard to plan anything.
Make sure that the doors are open properly, not open and shut sort of situation, so we can really get it going.
It's hard enough, isn't it? Running gigs and putting on gigs and trying to get people to come along. But
I've been playing. I have a residency in the West End. I've been a resident pianist in the Taj Mahal in the West End for many years now.
Right.
What I do is when I have a gig with the band, then I put Debs in and then I get back there. So
and that's on piano, is it? On your
on piano vocal. That's right.
Beautiful, great.
You must remember this.
Hey, play it again, Ed. Yeah. Actually, that's probably one of the most misquoted lines of all movies, isn't it? All time, because apparently he didn't say that, did he? It was. No. Anyway, okay, folks, that's it. We're going to play out with this, and before we go, just say next week I've got Simon Thorpe on the show. Fantastic bass player. He's played with a lot of people. Runs his own band, Jiving Miss Daisy. A lot of great music coming up next week. So thanks again to my guests tonight, Ed Bentley, and it's been lovely, mate. It's been lovely seeing you. And we're going to play out on this track called Mr. Turbulence. And so check out the links below if you want to get more of this. Take care of yourselves. Thanks, everyone. Good night. See you soon. Thanks, Ed. Good night, mate. Bye.